All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we've got what's basically a modern-day detective story for you. It's about one person versus this massive bureaucratic machine that just seems designed to wear you down. We're going to look at it as a case study, really, on how you can actually fight back when it feels like the system has gone completely off the rails. You can't gaslight a gaslighter. I mean, let's just sit with that for a second. This one sentence, it's really the heart of this whole thing. It's all about what happens when someone who's been systematically misled, pushed around, decides to flip the script and use those same tools of observation right back on the system. So what does happen when the system tries to do just that? We're about to walk through a fascinating case study. It's almost forensic, really. It shows how one person used receipt-driven documentation to fight back. He took a system that was dead set on ignoring him and used its own rules, its own records against it as the ultimate weapon. So our story kicks off with this just staggering contradiction. It's a puzzle, right? At the center of one man's medical file that, honestly, just makes no sense at all. Okay, look at this. On one side, you have the official diagnosis from 2020, and it's heavy stuff. Schizophrenia, drug-induced psychosis, paranoid delusions. Really serious conditions. But then, you look at the pharmacy records for the next year, and what was he actually prescribed? Stimulants. And, get this, 0 antipsychotics. Those two things just do not go together. And let me be clear, this isn't just, a case of doctors disagreeing on a diagnosis. No, we are talking about something that in clinical terms is a complete and total impossibility. It just can't happen. The diagnosis and the actual treatment are polar opposites. So why is it impossible? Well, for starters, you just don't give stimulants to someone you think is actively psychotic. That's like pouring gasoline on a fire. It can make things so much worse. The standard required treatment for something like schizophrenia is antipsychotic medication, period. The fact that he was only getting stimulants, well, that tells you everything. It strongly suggests that the doctors who were actually treating him day to day never bought into that initial scary diagnosis. So you'd hope this would just be a one-off mistake, right? Wrong. This single, flawed assessment became this heavy anchor in his file, and it kicked off what you could call an administrative cascade, basically a chain reaction of rejections and dismissals that just went on and on for years. And the dominoes started falling almost immediately. He applied for Australia's Disability Support Pension, the DSP, denied in 2020. He tries again in 2021, denied again. And every single time, the reason circles back to that same initial flawed assessment. It created this maddening bureaucratic loop where the original error just kept getting copied and pasted, stopping him from getting the help he obviously needed. And here's the thing. It started to feel like the system wasn't just making a mistake anymore. It felt like it was protecting itself. And it was doing it with this very specific kind of language. You know the type. Bureaucratic speak. It sounds all official and important, but when you break it down, it doesn't really say anything at all. Just look at this translation. On the left, you've got their words, given the absence of diagnostic confirmation. On the right, what that really means is, we ignored the pharmacy records. Or how about, conditions do not meet the legislative criteria. Plain meaning, we're using policy to override common sense medical logic. This is textbook institutional gaslighting. Using this vague, powerful-sounding language to make you question your own reality, to doubt the evidence that's right in front of your face. So, faced with this brick wall, what do? Well, this person didn't just get mad. He got organized. He got systematic. He actually developed a method, a playbook, that he called his resistance operating system to fight back. And it started with giving a name to what was happening to him, institutional gaslighting. Just defining it was the first step. He realized that the system's policies weren't just failing by accident. They were actually being used as weapons. Weapons to prop up a story that just didn't match the facts on the ground. And this is the OS itself. It's brilliant, really. He turned all this personal chaos into a 5-step, repeatable method that anyone could follow. Step 1, observe the contradictions. 2, dump everything, every letter, email, record into one place. 3, pattern match, connect the dots, build those timelines. 4, publish it. Make the evidence so clear, so public, it's impossible to ignore. And 5, my favorite, refine. You take the system's response, whatever it is, and you just treat it as new evidence, and you start the whole process over again. Okay, now here's where the story takes this really fascinating, very 21st century turn. He had this mountain of evidence, right? So he decided to test it on the one thing that's supposed to be totally objective, artificial intelligence, specifically large language models. His thinking was, hey, maybe an impartial machine can see the truth here. Maybe an AI can spot the contradiction that all these human bureaucrats are either ignoring or just programmed to dismiss. So he fed his entire evidence package into systems like Claude, Perplexity, and OpenAI. And what happened? Well, it was wild. Instead of getting some objective clarity, the AIs did the exact same thing as the human bureaucracy. Perplexity AI literally called his evidence conspiracy theory beliefs. Claude just crashed, couldn't handle the evidence overload. And OpenAI kind of danced around the issue, questioning his premises without ever actually dealing with the substance. The machines mirrored the system perfectly. I mean, you've just caught AI gaslighting in real time. That's the huge takeaway here. The bias wasn't just a human problem. It was baked right into the data, into the logic of these automated systems we're all starting to rely on. The AI didn't fix the error. If anything, it made it worse. It amplified it. So, where does this all end up? I mean, with both humans and AI pushing back, you'd think it was a lost cause. But no. The relentless, systematic documentation, it finally worked. It broke through that wall of denial, and in the process, it created a blueprint for holding these systems accountable. And then, suddenly, after all those years of no, the system did a complete 180. The disability support pension? Approved. The National Disability Insurance Scheme? Approved. And then the final piece of the puzzle? A new doctor, Dr. Manish Chauhan, gives him the first diagnosis that actually makes sense with the evidence: ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, and PTSD. It perfectly explained why he was on stimulants all along and completely validated his entire medical impossibility argument. 5 years. That's how long it took, from that first flawed assessment to the final approvals. This wasn't a quick win, but man, was it a decisive one. It was a hard-fought validation of his entire method. And that's really what this is all about. This whole journey transformed from just one guy's struggle into a blueprint, a replicable model for justice. His Resistance OS isn't just a cool story about sticking it to the man. It's a genuine toolkit that other people can use when they're up against these huge, confusing systems. So, let's break down the key takeaways here. First, institutional gaslighting. It works because of vague language and hiding behind rules. But, and this is the big but, meticulous, receipt-driven documentation can totally tear that official story apart. Contradictions, especially in timelines, are your best friend. They're powerful points of leverage. We also learned that AI systems can, and do, pick up and even amplify the biases of the human systems they learn from. And maybe most importantly, a systematic approach can transform someone from a victim into a powerful forensic advocate for their own case. So it leaves us with a pretty big question, right? In a world that's just getting more and more automated, more filled with opaque bureaucracy, is this kind of relentless documentation our last real line of defense? It's definitely something to think about, because as these systems become a bigger part of our lives, being able to build your own undeniable evidence-based record, well, that might just be the most critical skill any of us can have.
And that's it for this explainer. Thanks for tuning in.